Our first session for midday starts with India-UK Investment Corridor, unlocking opportunities for global investors. For many of us in this room, this corridor is our business, which includes dealing with clients moving money from Mumbai to UK, family offices, looking at new jurisdictions, startup scaling with both the markets. It's all happening now, even faster. To guide us through this landscape, we have a voice who has immense authority.
Ladies and gentlemen, I get goosebumps just introducing him. Shri Anand Rathi ji, one of the true giants of Indian finance. He's the founder and chairman of the Anand Rathi Group, a name synonymous with financial services in India. He's the former president of Bombay Stock Exchange, placed at the very heart of India's capital market during the period of historic transformation. Having spent over 5 decades shaping Indian finance, he's a true chartered accountant of distinction. And he is here today with us in London. Please stand up if you can to give the warmest welcome to this room can offer to Shri Anand Rathi.
Thank you so much for very nice introduction. And thanks to Ajay and all the committee members for giving me this opportunity to be with you today to talk about normally when I go, everybody wants to talk about the stock markets. And that's where I think I have said that I will, try to share the views which will help us viewing the markets from a very objective angle. What I have observed that many times, and particularly when I go abroad in NRIs, there are few worries. First worry is the devaluation of rupee. The second worry is what happens if the oil prices move so fast. Then again, there is a worry, what happens if there is a political changes. And then, we all notice the weaknesses very fast, because that's what the media normally is expert in telling you what's going wrong. What I want to do is actually create a very objective assessment of the India story. And I'm a very optimistic person, and I believe that India story is a great story. And I would like to talk to you with facts and figures based on data, not on impressions. Because many times you may say that, no, this may be correct, not be correct. When data speaks, I think this speaks louder than words. Also, I know that whenever I go, some people first ask me, they expect me, कि कुछ tip दे दीजिए. एक tip दे दीजिए. That's the normal first question which I asked, and I don't hesitate in giving that tip, and I'll give that tip. And the tip is never work on anybody else's tip. So I think important to succeed anywhere, my belief is we have to have a strong conviction of our own. We should not do anything, and particularly not invest your hard-earned money on somebody else's saying, कि अरे इस stock में डाल दो 5 गुना हो जाएगा 2 गुना हो जाएगा. It's very important that we have to have a strong conviction in investing in any asset class. So we must see that whether based on the assessment, objective assessment which you do, whether, we are convinced about putting our money into that asset class. So I'll take you through what is happening globally on the economy, also what is happening on the Indian economy, what's likely to happen, and particularly I would like to talk that what is the India story for its long-term growth and investments, and particularly why it is, important for people in UK. You have all accomplished so much in UK. You have come all the way from India, and very glad to see that the chartered accountants of India have done very well. I think I must share with you that Indian chartered accountants are really valued everywhere in the world, wherever I've gone. I had my own experience In 1981, I went to, for a turnaround, one of the companies of Birlas. I used to work for Birlas at that time. And when I made a presentation to the bank there, the first question asked, are you trained in North America? And I said, why are you asking that? Well, no, the analysis which you gave is perfectly good. So I think we are not less than anywhere else. Indian Chartered Accountants are great, and I'm proud that all of you really have done so well here. So what is happening in the world? The global order is changing, and therefore, what are the important questions for any investor to ask? Is global growth weakening? Is inflation interest rate setting into a new equilibrium? 2 years back, we all thought the interest rates will all come down. The things have changed now. Why is India diverging from the slowing global trends? How exposed is India to oil and geopolitical risks? That's what normally, when people talk, they're worried about these risks. And in addition to these, as I said, also the risk of currency, particularly when you talk to people, NRIs. And is the current equity performance in India, is it structural or cyclical? Because that's the basic question. So some data, if you look at the growth and inflation, global growth is coming down. The inflation also is gone up in most countries which used to very low inflation. And even the global economy is being driven mostly by the emerging countries like India, China. So overall, I think the whole scenario in world is changing. In this context, what is happening in India? What is happening to the, what is happening in the world is the debt, level of FDI. Ever since COVID, everybody has printed a lot of money. The amount of money, debt in all the, globally have gone up. Japan is 225% of GDP. UK now is most of 100% running for there. And US particularly, which is very highly debt, is 133%. In this scenario, what is happening in India? The India's macros, if you look at them, GDP growth, as we all know, we are the highest growth in the world today in the larger economies, and likely to be so for many more years. I think, and the reason has been one simple, that every economy in the world has grown fastest when the largest amount of investment came in infrastructure. A story of Japan, a story of China, a story of even US, UK, anywhere. So India has now started that capex story on the infrastructure, and therefore I believe that growth of 7 to 8% is likely to be achievable next 20, 25 years. That's, inflation has now, our problem earlier used to be 15, 20 years you had inflation of high single digit or even double digit. Now it's, we know that you're saying consistently we are able to move around 4% inflation. Debt to GDP ratio in India is still lower, and these will lead to perhaps the reasonable rate of interest. Earlier, the interest rate differential between India and particularly US, UK used to be very high. Our interest rates should be, 8%, 10%, 12%. And as this difference is reduced, obviously the efficiency of the economy really improves. So what are the diverging trends in the world? The global growth is moderating, but emerging markets are continuing for this growth. The elevated debt levels have constant fiscal space, and therefore future policy choices in the advanced countries are limited. Yields have eased but remain above pre-COVID levels. And the controlled inflation and moderate debt in India really provide an opportunity for the Indian economy to grow fast. That one of the oil price has been the obviously worrisome always. When oil prices go up, yes, Indian economy gets affected. But you look at the overall impact, even the prices go to 80 or even $100, the growth is going to be affected only by about 1%. So even if 8% becomes 7%, it's not going to have a great effect. The inflation again might go up by almost 1% if it happens. Fiscal deficit can go up by about 0.3%, again, not, and current account deficit, which has been the worry, used to have 4%, 5% current account deficit. Now it's going to be about 1 to 1.5%, even if the oil prices go up. And my strong belief is that oil prices, cannot last. I mean, obviously these prices have gone up because of this Iran-US situation. But in the history, if you look at it, whenever something like that happened with the Kuwait war, the prices went up and again came down. So the likelihood of oil prices settling down, normally about $60 to $70, is reasonable to assume. Now, in this scenario, if we recent trend if we take, many times we have a recency bias. पिछले 1 साल में क्या हुआ, 2 साल में क्या हुआ? Yes, Indian markets have not performed very well in last 2 years. If you look at it in 12 months, the markets have remained static and or have gone down. In fact, of course, this Iran-US war again is an aberration, but it has not been going up, and that's the reason that a lot of money, a lot of FIs have been selling in a big manner because they also thought it was overvalued. But look at the long term. If you take the long-term return on Indian market, even in dollar terms, always worry that I think not many people really know about this fact that in dollar terms, India has been given best returns. Take any 10-year return in the world. So after taking effect of devaluation also, Indian markets have done very well. And if history is giving guide, and this has happened at a time when India had higher inflation, higher interest rates. Going forward, if those factors become favorable, I think likelihood is that market will continue to do well. Rupee depreciation again, whenever it goes high, last again, 1 year it has devalued very sharply. But if you take the averages, I think our rupee has been devaluing about 3% year on year, which is not very large actually, considering the GDP growth you have, considering the, again, market, if you see Nifty index, so account for even 3% in that, growth in your dollar terms would be about 9-10%. I think same thing in the pound terms. Of course, pound sterling has become very strong in last 1 year. So I think look at the long term, if you look at it, what has affected this market? Primarily 2 major reasons. Huge FI outflows, which has happened, and the crude prices which have gone up. These two have obviously, and the war, whenever there is a regional, conflict, I think anytime this happens, yes, the markets are affected. But what it does is it really, to my mind, provides a good entry point at the moment. So what we call is there could be short-term pain, long-term gain. That's the story we believe is fully intact. If you look at the scenario, overall scenario which I talked, the recent underperformance should be considered cyclical by some, reasons which I mentioned, which are not likely to last. So I think, and also when markets go down, other markets catch up. There's always movement of money from one place to another. And in long term, I think savings changes earnings. I think key factor is where is more earnings likely to come. The stock markets are dependent on the earnings of the corporate sector. And what are they dependent on? By and large, we have seen that the stock markets, growth is 1 or 2% higher than the nominal growth of the country. If you look last 30 years history, our nominal growth has been about 10 to 12%, and the market has grown 14, 15%. So that is the growth. And the reason is simple. If there is a global growth of the country's economy is 10, 12%, surely the corporate earnings are likely to increase at least by that level. And at least good companies are likely to increase by that level. On an average, their growth story would be higher. And therefore, if corporate earnings grow by that extent, long term, the market is dependent on the growth of the corporate earnings. So if corporate earnings is likely to grow by more than 10, 12%, I think market will definitely grow. Now, there have been obviously many instances, these markets are very sensitive. They react very fast to any event. Anything happens, I've given about 10 examples, where various crises happened, markets went down sharply, ranging between 10% to even 50%. And average decline when such events take place has been about 30%. But see what happened a year after that. In next 12 months, markets have not only recouped, they have grown. And in all the 10 instances, if I take the average, the markets have grown by 50%. So what does it really mean? It means that whenever such situations come, these are opportunities for getting into the market, because if the economy is going to do well, I think the markets will recoup and come back and improve again. So today, broadly, what is in short the India story? The India combines both strong growth with relatively contained debt. And therefore, if the inflation, again, at the cost of repetition, I'll say, if the inflation remains lower, interest rates don't go up or to the old levels, it remains today, GSEC is about 6.9%, 6.8%. And if these have not happened, it will, my own assessment, this is likely to go down once this war situation settles down. And our assessment is that the GSEC rate should go down to about 5.5%. Another 1% likely fall in the interest rate can happen. So the question which I think people always have, why should Indians in UK invest in Indian market? Because, so I think I've given various things. First and foremost, I said the growth is the most critical part. And I think my belief is, and I think everybody's belief here would be, you would all be really proud of the way India is growing now. I think if 7-8% continuous growth comes, I think the economy, from 4.5 trillion today, I think should cross at least 20 trillion in next 20-25 years. The inflation is in reasonable limits. The corporate earnings are growing between 10 to 15% on a continuous basis. The quality of companies is improving. The governance levels are improving year after year. And now many large companies have really improved their corporate governance norms. The returns which I said, the dollar returns in the past have been higher. The risk-adjusted return, I think, good. And obviously, India has the advantage of demographic demand. And one big advantage which I mentioned is India's entrepreneurs. I think all of you here have come and become entrepreneurs here. So if you can establish in a country which is not your own, in a very different ecosystem, I'm sure that you will all agree that India's one big strength has been entrepreneurship. Many times I say that India is growing because of its entrepreneurs, despite the government. Many governments have come and gone. Now obviously the government's attitudes are changing. They are becoming more and more favorable to business. As Anilji said in the morning, there are many bottlenecks compared to perhaps much easier to do business in UK or any other country than doing in India. But still, I think it's our resilience of Indian entrepreneurs that even in the most difficult conditions, I think the companies will continue to grow. Indians, and particularly chartered accountants, are great, and I always believe that, The Indian chartered accountants can do very well, can become not only CFOs, the CEOs of the country. India mein to, many companies now, most CFOs are becoming CEOs. So I think with the entrepreneurial, strength which we have, the India should grow. I think keeping last one slide, I'll say that what do I see India going to be? Prime Minister Modi always talking of 2047. After 100 years of our independence, where is country like to go? And GDP, I think in terms of dollars, I expect it to be more than $20 billion, $20 trillion. And you can see, the moment it changes, any country with $20 trillion, the entire ecosystem will change. Obviously, the corporate earnings will change. And therefore, they have a direct impact on the market. Market cap, normally the market cap in good countries is about 100 to 125% of the GDP. And we expect that in 25 years, with the amount of growth which we are having, I think it should be at least 50% higher than the GDP. So I expect the total market cap can move to about more than $30 trillion. And where the Nifty Sensex can go. When I go, somebody सवाल पूछते 1 लाख सेंसेक्स कब हो जाएगा? जब 25,000 तो पूछते 50,000 कब हो जाएगा? I said definitely. So I think my belief is that we will grow at least by 11% to 12%, all our indices. And therefore, where can Sensex go? It can cross 7,50,000. And where can Nifty go? It can go cross 2,20,000. Now, all these facts, friends, I have shared with you just to create the conviction. I think if you want to invest in India, if you are convinced about the presentation which I have made about the numbers which I am sharing with you, I think then one doesn't have to really think much. And I think more and more Indians now, earlier most NRIs used to invest in debt. But now the perception changing. We do wealth management in India, but we also have our setup in Dubai. And what I've seen last 10 years, there's a change in mindset of NRIs now. Everybody is looking forward to invest in India, and I think presentation like this should be able to help people to create a more conviction in the India story. I am particularly very, very positive about India story. And many times when I talk to young people, I tell them, you are all lucky to be born in India at the right time, at the right place. Perhaps I was born premature. Because at that time, the growth opportunities were not much. So when I qualified as a chartered accountant in November 1966, the opportunities were limited. कि भैया नौकरी कर लो या कुछ धंधा अपनी practice चालू कर लो. Today, the ambit of availability of avenues for chartered accountants has really increased, and wherever I go, I see really Indian chartered accountants do very well. Congratulations to all of you for what you're doing in UK, for yourself, and you are making the India proud. Thank you so much.